Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Gopi Jana Ballava Girivaradhari Gopi Jana Ballava Girivaradhari Yasodanandana Braja Janaranjana Yasodanandana Braja Janaranjana Yamunatira Vanachari Yamunatira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Gopi Jana Ballava Girivaradhari Gopi Jana Ballava Girivaradhari Yasodanandana Braja Janaranjana Yasodanandana Braja Janaranjana
More volume on the mic. Oh, up.
Yamunatira Vanachari Yamunatira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada. Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada. Jayam Vishnupad Paramahansa Prabhakacharya Sarasishimad, His Divine Grace, Srila Asa Bhaktivedanta Goswami, Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Jayam Vishnupad Paramahansa Prabhakacharya Sarasishimad, Divine Grace, Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Goswami Maharaj, Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Srila Gokishore Das Babaji Maharaj Ki Jai. Srila Thakur Bhakti Vinoda Ki Jai. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to assembled devotees. Grantharaj Srimad Bhagavad Gita Ki Jai. Vrindavan Dham Ki Jai. Go Premananda Hari Hari Bol. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. All together, please. Om Jnana Timirandasya Ganandana Salakaya Chakshurun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhistam Abhidam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yukta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raganatham Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Prijana Sahitam Kṛṣṇa Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Kṛṣṇa Padam Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakam Vitamscha He Kṛṣṇa Karana Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostate Tapcha Kanchana Gaurange Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhana Sutadevi Pranamami Hari Priye Vanchakalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhu Bevacha Paditanam Pavnebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Shri Kṛṣṇa Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Thank you very much. So now we have today's verse is 6th chapter, generally called Sankhya Yoga, verse number 2. Correct? Yes. Please repeat. Yam sannyāsam iti prāhur yogam tam viddhi pāṇḍava nahi asannyasta-saṅkalpo yogī bhavati kaścana yam sannyāsam iti prāhur yogam tam viddhi pāṇḍava nahi asannyasta-saṅkalpo yogī bhavati kaścana yam sannyāsam iti prāhur yogam tam viddhi pāṇḍava nahi sannyāsta-saṅkalpo yogī bhavati kaścana yam sannyāsam iti prāhur yogam tam viddhi pāṇḍava nahi asannyasta-saṅkalpo yogī bhavati kaścana yoga bhavati kandana chapter 6.2. kaścana yan sannyāsam prāhur yogaṁ iti pāṇḍava. Yogo bhavati kaścana. So, word for word, please repeat. Yam, what? Sannyāsam, renunciation. Iti, thus. Prāhuḥ, they say. Yogam, linking with the Supreme. Tam, that. Viddhi, you must know. Pāṇḍava, O son of Pāṇḍu. No, never. He, certainly. Asannyasta, without giving up. Saṅkalpaḥ, desire for self-satisfaction. Yogī, a mystic transcendentalist. Bhavati, becomes. Kaścana, anyone. Translation, Srila Prabhupada. What is called renunciation you should know to be the same as yoga, or linking oneself with the Supreme, O son of Pāṇḍu. For one can never become a yogi unless he renounces the desire for sense gratification. Please repeat. What is called renunciation? You should know to be the same as yoga, or linking oneself with the Supreme. O son of Pāṇḍu, for one can never become a yogi unless he renounces the desire for sense gratification. Purport, Srila Prabhupada. Real sannyāsa-yoga or bhakti means that one should know his constitutional position as the living entity and act accordingly. The living entity has no separate independent identity. He is the marginal energy of the Supreme. When he is entrapped by the material energy, he is conditioned, and when he is in Kṛṣṇa consciousness or aware of the spiritual energy, then he is in his real or natural state of life. Therefore, when one is in complete knowledge, one ceases all material sense gratification or renounces all kinds of sense gratificatory activities. This is practiced by the yogis who restrain the senses from material attachment. But a person in Kṛṣṇa consciousness has no opportunity to engage his senses in anything that is not for the purpose of Kṛṣṇa. Therefore, a Kṛṣṇa conscious person is simultaneously a sannyasi and a yogi. The purpose of knowledge and of restraining the senses as prescribed in the jnana and yoga processes is automatically served in Kṛṣṇa consciousness. If one is unable to give up the activities of his selfish nature, then jnana and yoga are of no avail. The real aim of the living entity is for the living entity to give up all selfish satisfaction and to be prepared to satisfy the Supreme. A Kṛṣṇa conscious person has no desire for any kind of self-enjoyment. He is always engaged in the enjoyment of the Supreme. One who has no information of the Supreme must therefore be engaged in sense satisfaction, because no one can stand on the platform of inactivity. All purposes are perfectly served by the practice of Kṛṣṇa consciousness. Mukam karoti vācālam pangam naitegirim yad kripa tamaham vande Sri Gurun dinatarinam yam sannyāsam iti prāhur yogam tam viddhi pāṇḍava na asannyasta-saṅkalpo yogo bhavati kaścana. What is called renunciation you should know to be the same as yoga, or linking oneself with the Supreme. O son of Pāṇḍu, For one can never become a yogi unless he renounces the desire for sense gratification. Yes. So, Krishna is progressively educating Arjuna. And this point is very clear, that you're either in the water or you're on the land. You're either in the light or you're in the dark. You're either in the room or you're outside the room. There may be a transitional place, but you cannot stand in that place, in that inactivity. So there are three energies, and we as the living entity can choose. We can choose. I've got that verse again. Turn down the treble. The treble's too high. Vishnu Shakti Para Prokta Chaitra Yakya Tata Para Avidya Karma Sanyāsam Striti Shakti Ishyate. The internal potency of the Supreme Lord Vishnu is spiritual, as verified by the Shastras. There is another spiritual potency known as Chatragyan, or the living entity. The third potency is known as nescience, and makes the living entity godless and fills him with fruitive activity. So we are Chatragyan, we are the spirit soul, and we can either go to the spiritual energy or we can go to the nescience of the material energy. Material energy is Maya. Maya means that which is not. Maya is different. Maya means that which is not. So the material energy makes us consider, I am the body, the things related to the body, they belong to me, and I should control and enjoy. And we become godless, as it is said here in the two things. We become forgetful, avaranadmika, we lose our consciousness of God, and we become full of this illusion that I can be happy in the material world. But there is a distinct line between the spiritual and material energy. You cannot be, as Kṛṣṇa is going to, and he's telling in this verse, you cannot be situated in the spiritual energy and be chasing unlimited sense gratification. However, in the period of sadhana, you can enjoy sense gratification, but in a disciplined manner. Eating, sleeping, mating, defending, right? So you can eat, but you should eat prasadam, purified foodstuffs. Sleep, you should not, later Kṛṣṇa says, yuktahara viharasya yukta swapna babodasya, that you must be temperate in your eating and sleeping. And eating, sleeping, mating. And then you can get married, no problem. And you can have children and train them in Kṛṣṇa consciousness, primarily by your example, not by force. And then defending. And then you can protect the whole setup of your life with a view to being in a good situation to serve Kṛṣṇa. Sato vritte, tat tat karma pravartinat. Rupa Goswami says these two things are very important. You should have a pious activity. You can't be a bank robber and practice yoga. You can't be a thug, a gunda, and become a yogi. And then you should act according to scripture. As it says in the, as Vrindavan Das Thakur, he says in the Chaitanya Bhagavat, three things for spiritual life. He sums it all up. Bhajo Kṛṣṇa, you should take Kṛṣṇa, Bhagavan Shri Kṛṣṇa, as your Ishtadev. Bolo Kṛṣṇa, you should chant the name of Kṛṣṇa, and Kṛṣṇa Upadesha Kuro. You should learn the instructions of Kṛṣṇa from Guru, and you should try to follow them, put them progressively more and more. But you should keep your consciousness on the Supreme. And then you can transition to the spiritual energy. And there you're not in the illusory material energy, you're in enlightened state. Just like darkness, you cannot see anything. But when you're in the light, everything is revealed. So the spiritual state is one of enlightenment. And one, as Prabhupada says in the Purport, one is enlightened as to his constitutional position in relationship to Kṛṣṇa. You remember the first part of the Purport, Prabhupada said, the living entity has no separate identity. It's very interesting. In the material world, we think we are separate. We're forgetful of the source, of the Purusha, of the Supreme. We're separated, vibhinamsa. But that is our illusion, that which is not. At every moment, we are dependent upon the Supreme Lord. But we are forgetful of that. But in the spiritual world, everything is revealed. And our identity, Jivara Svarupoy Nichera Krishna Das, the previous speaker, he said that, we realize our Svarup. As it says, I often quote, Muktir hitavanyata rupam svarupena avivashtiti. What is liberation from the material energy? It is to be situated in one's Svarup. We have Svarup intrinsically. The soul we can consider is like a seed, but the Svarup is like the plant. If you water the seed, the plant will grow nicely. So if we water the Svarup, the beej, the seed, nicely by Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu, Smaranam, Padasevanam, well, the spiritual form will awaken, and then our attraction towards Kṛṣṇa will become very strong, and we will no longer be fighting the senses. This is the stage of nishtha. At the stage of nishtha, steadiness, one is nishtha because he's realizing his svarup. He's realizing his relationship, and he's realizing his spiritual form. Mama Vangsa Jiva Loke Jiva Bhuta Sanatana. The living entities in this material world are my part and parcels. They belong to Kṛṣṇa. Just like the sun belongs to Kṛṣṇa, the Supreme. What does Kṛṣṇa say? Aham bija pritak pita. I am the seed-giving father. The seed is that soul. But now that soul is covered. It's not blossoming. It is suppressed by the material energy. So by sadhana bhakti, the soul wakes up. And the most important element is that one should desire. Ye prasade pure sarva asha. We sing every morning that by the mercy of the Guru, the prasad of the Guru, our spiritual desire is satisfied. Kṛṣṇa prapti. So we must desire. We cannot stop desiring, but we must properly desire. And then Kṛṣṇa will arrange everything, Chaita Guru, to guide us. Just like if you want to go to Calcutta, you will get all sorts of ideas how to go to Calcutta. One, how much money I need to do this, I need to do that, I need to pack my bag, I have to be there at this time. So one will be given intelligence to dami buddhi yogam tam, how to reach Kṛṣṇa. And then when that attraction is there, that is ruchi, and that becomes a shakti, and bhava and prema. But the hard part is anartha and nivritti, how to overcome the attraction for the material energy that we're conditioned. So regulated sadhana bhakti, sadhu sangha, asatsangi chagi, giving up bad association, and in the center of that, becoming determined. We have to be determined. And whatever our situation is, we should make make the best of it, right? We all have different situations according to our body, according to our finances, according to our age. So whatever that situation is, we should think how I can use this situation to develop my Krishna consciousness. And Bhakti Vinod says, forget the past that sleeps, and ne'er the future dream at all, but act in times that are with you, and progress you shall call. So we don't dream about the future, we don't dream about the past, thinking, oh, I have this problem, that. No, we become determined in the present. So, here, some details. What is called renunciation. So we know from the Sanskrit, sannyāsam. Sannyas means renunciation. But later on, in the 18th chapter, Arjuna asked Kṛṣṇa, what is sannyas? What is tyāg? And Kṛṣṇa gives very good definition. He says sannyas means when you are no longer materially motivated. You see, we're materially motivated, at least myself. We want to enjoy the material world. But sannyas means we are spiritually motivated. It doesn't mean to say we're just renounced. Here, Kṛṣṇa explains it very nicely. What is called renunciation, you should know to be the same as yoga, or linking with the Supreme. So, real renunciation is that you're linked to the Supreme by yoga. And then you're not motivated materially, but you're motivated by bhava, by prema, by the desire to satisfy Kṛṣṇa. So in the period of sadhana though, that desire may be less, so therefore Vishwanath Chakravarti has explained very nicely that in the period of sadhana particularly, the sadhaka should take the order of the spiritual master as their life and soul. Because that is imminent, that is there. We may be lacking bhava, we may be lacking this spiritual inspiration to serve the Supreme, but if we have bona fide spiritual master, Krishna Upadesha Kuro, Bhajo Krishna, Bolo Kṛṣṇa, then we should take his instructions as the framework for our life. Right? So we have 25 instructions, right? 25 elements, 16 rounds, 4 regulative principles, that makes 20, 3 gayatris or mantra meditations every day, 23, 24, we should study the Shastra, and 25, we should propagate the knowledge of Krishna consciousness. This is the order of the Sampradaya. So 16 rounds. 16 rounds is the order of the spiritual master. That means that 16 rounds is 1,000,000 times better than 15 rounds. Because 16 rounds is the order of the Guru. So, Yasya Prasada, Bhagavat Prasada. If you please the Guru, Krishna is pleased. You please the Guru by Krishna Upadesha Kuro, by following sadhana bhakti. And then Chaita Guru, you'll become knowledgeable about Chaita Guru, Paramatma. And then you're Swarup will blossom. Swarup means relationship, mood. Just like in the material world, according to our bhava mood, we get a dog's body, or a fish body, or a tiger body, or a tree body, because our consciousness in relationship to the material energy has developed that mood. So spiritual life means to develop the mood of service to the Supreme, and to meditate upon the Supreme. And this is what is going to be taught, the technique of meditation here. Or linking, O son of... Then Kṛṣṇa makes it very clear. You can't become a yogi unless you give up, that means your choice, the desire for sense gratification. If you want dhanam, wealth, if you want high position in society, followers, if you want unlimited sex life, then you cannot practice yoga. Nadanam nadanam nasundarim kavitam bhadi gadisha kamaye. So Lord Chaitanya is explaining that. What I desire, and that's what I say, we have to desire. We have to desire to awaken our relationship with Kṛṣṇa. So in this chapter, Kṛṣṇa tells Arjuna very wonderful information about how to control the mind. The next sloka, and then if we control the mind, how? By fixing it upon Kṛṣṇa. For one who is a neophyte in the eightfold yoga system, work is said to be the means. But for one who is already elevated in yoga, cessation of material activities is said to be the means. So that is Ashtanga Yoga. Ashtanga Yoga has 8 parts. And Kṛṣṇa says if you endeavor in Ashtanga Yoga nicely, with determination, you can be successful. Arjuna eventually does say, this is a bit difficult for me. I'm a Kshatriya and I'm on the battlefield. You want me to sit down in Padmasana and meditate? But from this yogic system, we can learn how to perform smaranam, right? Shravanam, Kirtanam, smaranam. So what is the Ashtanga Yoga system? Yama, niyama. Yama means things you should do. Niyama means things that you shouldn't do. Asana means exercises, particularly so that you can sit properly and not be distracted. And then the 4th one is pranayam, pranayam. That means to get control through breathing exercises of the prana in the body, to balance the prana. And then pratyahara, how to withdraw the senses from sense objects. 3 levels. Pull the senses away from the external world, pull the senses, the consciousness, away from the physical body, pull the senses away from the fluctuation in the mind, find the Atma, and then find the Atma of the Atma, the Paramatma. So that is pratyahara. And then dhyan. Dhyan means we contemplate that Paramatma, and we can get information about Paramatma, and we can contemplate the nature of Paramatma. Oh, what does it's there later in the, yes, Upadrishta Amanta. Paramatma is Upadrishta. He's the overseer of the material energy. We touched upon this last Friday. He overlooks everything in the material world. And then Anumanta. He sanctions the living entities. Eko yoda dadati kamam. He fulfills the desires of the living entity. Upadrishta, overseer, and Anumanta gives sanction. So we can contemplate in that way, And then next stage is dharana. Dharana means the flow of consciousness. Just like at the beginning of the Srimad Bhagavatam, Queen Kunti prays to Kṛṣṇa, Gongo Vodam Udanvati. Oh Kṛṣṇa, please cut off my attachment to material affairs, my family, and let my consciousness flow to you just like the Ganga flows always to the sea without stopping for any obstacle. So that is dharana. And then samadhi means to become absorbed in the lila, to be absorbed in the relationship with Kṛṣṇa. So in the Bhagavatam, 3 objects are given. Yes, to contemplate. What is that verse? Vedanti tatvad vidas tatvat prajnanam avyayam brahmeti paramatmati bhagavan iti subjite. So those that know the absolute truth are aware of 3 aspects. Brahman, that means the effulgence, the spiritual effulgence of the form of Kṛṣṇa, also known as the Brahmajyoti. And then Paramatma, the Supreme Soul, as we've been discussing in this chapter. And then Bhagavan, Leelamayi Kṛṣṇa. So of course, Lord Chaitanya, the followers of Lord Chaitanya, we are very much interested to meditate upon the pastimes of Kṛṣṇa. So last week we were commenting on that verse 524, that the transcendentalist, his attention is within, his aim is inward, his happiness is inward, he rejoices within. So this is dharana, jnana, dharana and samadhi. So yes, we do not practice this Ashtanga form, but we take information from it in how to control the material body and the senses, so that we can perform Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu Smaranam, Padasevanam, particularly in the period of sadhana. So as we discussed last few weeks, in the Vedas there's 3 kanda. There is karma kanda, there is jnana kanda, and there is upasana kanda or bhakti kanda. So we already explained that karma kanda means the section to deal with karma. So the perfection of karma kanda is to work for Vishnu. The mistake of karma is to become a karmi, and that means I perform pious work for my benefit. But Kṛṣṇa explains in the Gita that you should perform your work as an offering to Vishnu. And then jnana kanda means to understand the root. So karma yoga means to water the root. Jnana kanda means to learn what is the root, what is the purusha, what is the source. As we say, Kṛṣṇa has 3 energies: material energy, spiritual energy, the living entity, 3 basic categories. So who is he? He is the purusha, he is the source. So jnana kanda is perfect when we realize Bhagavan, when we realize Bhagavan, and we realize we have relationship with Bhagavan. So now this 6th chapter is to do with Ashtanga Yoga. So somebody may say, how does this fit into it? Is it Jnana Kanda, Karma Kanda, is it Upasana Kanda? Well, Bhakti Vinod Thakur, and we can see by the situation as the 6th chapter, because the Gita is Jnana Karma Kanda, first 6 chapters, Upasana Kanda, middle 6 chapters, Jnana Kanda, last 6 chapters. but it is all integrated in bhakti. So here, at the end, Kṛṣṇa says, yoginam api sarvesam madgatein antaratma shraddhavam bhajate yomam same yuktatum matak. That of all the yogis, the greatest yogi is the one that always abides in me, meditates upon me, in bhava, in prema. That is the greatest. Because that is the full expression of the soul, swarup. And that is muktir hitavanyata rupana surupena mukti. So, this yoga, nowadays many people in the world practice yoga and they do asana, right? That's very good. They're using the word yoga. It means union plus addition means yoga. But they must understand that yoga means addition, attraction, connection, union with the Supreme Lord. Just like impersonalist yogis, they may perform so much yoga and they may even meditate on Paramatma as overseer and permitter, but their aim is to derive mystic power. This is the mistake of the yoga system, which is in the karma kanda because it is manipulation of the prana as a means to develop the consciousness on the spiritual platform. But we can do that. The mistaken yogi, they meditate upon the Supreme Lord so that they can derive potency. In the Bhagavatam it explains the different mystic powers. So if we meditate upon Kṛṣṇa, for example, as Trikala-gyam, the knower of past, present and future, and we perform tapasya, and we perform this yoga system, dhyan, meditating, Kṛṣṇa knows past, present and future, and then we try to develop a flow, understanding, and then dharana. And in our heart, we have the desire, oh, I want to be a great astrologer. I want to have mystic vision into the past, present and future. Then we can get that by this meditation. Because whatever aspect of Kṛṣṇa you meditate upon, you will derive that power. Because you're non-different from Kṛṣṇa, but you're an angsa. So if you meditate upon, then there are 8 asta-siddhis, angima, lagima, so on and so forth. But in the Bhagavatam it gives the minor ones. For example, if you want to have great political influence, what aspect of Kṛṣṇa should you meditate upon? How Kṛṣṇa was a great leader, how he was the lord of the Pāṇḍavas, how he was the controller of the battlefield of Kurukshetra, how he was undefeated in battle, how he is achyuta, he is never beaten. So then you go into meditation and you meditate upon achyuta and you think, I'm becoming powerful like achyuta. So yes, you will develop that power. Now if you want to develop musical talent, what should you do? You can practice on your own on the piano. You'll still get, but practice makes perfect, tapasya, you'll get. But if you want to have a shortcut to musical ability, what aspect of Kṛṣṇa should you meditate upon? His musical ability, right? It is explained that when Kṛṣṇa played the flute, Lord Brahma could not understand what is this raga. I cannot understand how Kṛṣṇa is blending all these notes. And in the groves of Vrindavan, all the trees, the wind, the river, it would stop flowing just to hear the flute song. And when the gopis heard the flute song of Kṛṣṇa, they wanted to give up everything and run towards Kṛṣṇa. So, if you are playing your musical instrument and you want to improve, you should meditate on Kṛṣṇa's musical ability. And by meditating on that aspect of Kṛṣṇa, you will develop that ability. But this is pious. You're going to the Supreme Lord. Also, if you want to be wealthy, right? Kṛṣṇa is the husband of Lakshmi. So there are many mantras to worship Lakshmi Devi. Are there not? Right? You chant these mantras so many lakhs of times, and hopefully Lakshmi Devi will give you some cash. But this is mistaken. We should meditate upon the Supreme Lord as the beneficent, as the giver of bhakti. And the highest aspect of meditation upon Kṛṣṇa, and this is particularly revealed by Lord Chaitanya, at the beginning we discussed this a couple of weeks ago, is the highest aspect and the whole reason for creation is, in the beginning of the Chaitanya Charitamrita, it explains that the absolute truth is one, Prakriti and Purusha, but they have separated themselves eternally to enjoy the bliss of pastimes, to enjoy prema vivarta, to enjoy the exchange of love. So this is the highest aspect, the highest aspiration of meditation, that we don't meditate upon Kṛṣṇa for material fruit or some ability on the material plane. We, Lord Chaitanya, the six Goswamis, have explained, he is Namo Mahavadanyaya Kṛṣṇa Prema Pradayate. He has told us that he has explained through the Goswamis and the Satsandarbhas that you meditate on the loving affairs of Radha and Kṛṣṇa. And that is the highest meditation, and that will bring bhava, and that will bring prema into your heart. And when you have that, everything else is subordinate. So, you may say, but I'm not qualified, and that is quite good. I'm not qualified to meditate on these high aspects of Radha and Kṛṣṇa. So, there are 3 mantras, and we can meditate, do smaranam, using these mantras, instead of chanting Lakshmi mantra for money. And they are called the Sambandha Pranam, Avideya Praman, and Prayojan. So, during the period of sadhana, we worship and we chant and we meditate upon Kṛṣṇa as the Lord of Sambandha. Jayatam Surito Pango Mama Mande Mate Gati Mat Sarvasya Padambojo Radha Madana Mohano. Glory to the all-merciful Radha and Madan Mohan. I am lame and ill-advised. They are my directors, and their lotus feet are everything to me. So Kṛṣṇa's name is Madan Mohan. That means he is more attractive than Mohan, than the material energy, than Kamdev, than Cupid. So when we want to meditate, if we use this system in our contemplation, we should meditate, if we're in the neophyte condition and we haven't mastered Sambandha Gyan, relationship knowledge, we can meditate upon Kṛṣṇa as Madan Mohan. The Acharya for this is Sanatana Goswami. He wrote Hari Bhakti Vilas. So this mantra we can chant. Please Kṛṣṇa, You are more beautiful, more attraction than Cupid and this material energy. So you please, I'm lame and inadvised. I'm controlled by my mind. You please pick me up. Just like Lord Chaitanya says, right? Ainandatanija kinkaram patidabam vishveva bamburo kripayatava pankaja stuti dali sadashim vichintaya. O son of Nanda Maharaj Kṛṣṇa, please pick me up from the Maya Shakti and make me an atom of dust at your feet. So, that is Sambandha Abhideya is next. Divyad Brindayanga Kalpadrumado Srimad Ratnaga Simhasana Sto Srimad Radha Srila Govinda Devo Prasthalive Sayamano Smarami. So, Govinda here. Govinda means the giver of pleasure to the mind and senses, the spiritual pleasure. In a temple of jewels in Vrindavan, underneath a desire tree, Sri Sri Radha Govinda, served by their most confidential associates, sit upon an effulgent throne. I offer my humble obeisances unto them. So, they're in a temple of jewels. Now this means that I am losing my attraction to Madan, to Cupid, the material energy. And now I'm meditating on Radha Govinda in a temple of jewels. And they're served by their most confidential associates. And he's called Govinda because he gives pleasure. So when we're established in Abhideya, we take pleasure. And this is very similar, this verse, to the Brahma Samhita. Chintamani prakara sadhana saṅkalpa vriksha laksa vriteshu surabhira vipalayantam lakshmi shahastra sata sambrama sevyamanam govindamadi purusham tamaham bhajami. So in the previous week, we were talking about how you should be active within. So before we chant and during chanting, we can meditate on Madan Mohan, we can meditate upon Govinda. He's been worshipped by the Lakshmis, he's sitting with Radha on a beautiful throne in a temple of jewels, and we can chant and we contemplate, and we see that Radha and Kṛṣṇa are immersed in loving mood, prem vivarta, and that this is the whole reason for creation. And then Prayojan Tattva. Raghunath Das Goswami is the Acharya for this. Sriman Rasa Rasaram Vi Vamsi Vatita Stita Kashan Venus Vener Gopir Gopinatha Striye Stuna. So here, Gopinath. So Gopinath means the Lord of the Gopis. And you hear this, Sriman Rasa Rasaram Vi. This is talking about rasa. In Abhideya Pranam, the meditation is in a kind of formal way. Here is Radha and Kṛṣṇa surrounded by the Ashtashakis. It's very beautiful. They're in a temple and I'm worshipping them. But here, Sri Sri Srila Gopinath, who originated the transcendental mellow of the rasa dance, stands on the shore in Vamsivat and attracts the attention of the cowherd damsels with the sound of his celebrated flute. May they all confer upon us their benediction. So here we have first Sambandha Tattva, Madan Mohan, then Govinda. Now we have Gopinath, and that is the apex of the Bhagavatam, where Kṛṣṇa... Okay, I'll sum up in 2 minutes, okay? So here in the third, this is the Prayojana Devi Pranam. We're meditating upon the highest aspect. It's there described in the Bhagavatam, where Kṛṣṇa is the Lord of the Ras Leela. He's at Vansivat. He's playing the flute. And this flute sound is driving the gopis into ecstasy. And they just want to run and serve Kṛṣṇa in the Ras Leela. So according to our particular development, we should meditate upon Kṛṣṇa in these 3 stages. First, in neophyte stage, we can continue all 3. I want to become free of the material energy, Mad and Mohan. Second stage, Govinda. I want to worship Govinda. I want to see, I want to feel the spiritual pleasure. And then Gopinath. This is the most high stage. I want to enter into the Ras Leela with Kṛṣṇa. So last week we were talking about how that verse, you should be active within. You should be meditating within. So this is the perfection of yoga, to meditate in this way, in seva bhav, you see. So there's another class at 7 o'clock, so we'll finish on time. But you see this point? So Kṛṣṇa is giving yoga, but the perfection of yoga is to meditate on Kṛṣṇa Leela, not on Paramatma, we can say, for mystic power. He's taught Gyan, and Gyan is good. Oh, okay, I want to understand the root, but I want to understand Kṛṣṇa so I can perform bhajan better. And then karma, the perfection of karma understanding is I'm performing all my activities as an offering to the Supreme Lord. So one is watering the root, one is understanding the root, and the yoga and upasana is to become absorbed in the leela of the root. And the highest aspect of that leela is the loving exchange between Radha and Kṛṣṇa. So, as devotees of Lord Chaitanya, we consider, I am in the Sangha of Lord Chaitanya, I am in the Sangha of Lord Chaitanya, but within that Sangha, I'm performing the bhajan of Radha and Kṛṣṇa. And under the direction of an experienced devotee, we should learn what are the stages we should practice. Okay, thank you all very much for listening. Thank you all very much. Hare Kṛṣṇa. Next Friday you can ask questions.